Talk Golden State Warriors. Today we're gonna do a different video. We're gonna talk about the NBA draft lottery. So we're not gonna talk about Warriors news today. I just wanna explain to you how does it work in case you don't know yet, so it's clear for everyone. So if you're joining this and you are not a Warriors fan, welcome. I hope you enjoy. Leave in the comments if you have any questions. So let's talk about this. So how does the NBA lottery draft works? And why it's so important, right? I try to split here in a few chapters so you understand, and I explain a little bit how step by step why it's so important. So I hope you follow with me. I'll put some stuff on the screen while I'm speaking so you can understand easier. So really, thanks for joining. One more time, please subscribe, hit that button, and help the channel. So the lottery happens once a year. And it's happening tomorrow in Chicago at 3 p.m. Eastern time. And it's an event, a short event it happens to define the first 14 picks of the draft. More precisely, the ones that really have some how I can say, that really has some work to do to define the first four. Because then from the 5th to the 14th, it's all based on a reverse order of the regular season. So why 14? First of all, right? So it's important to understand because those are the teams that didn't make to the playoffs. So basically you have the first four that's gonna be a random selection, and that's what we're gonna explain. And then you have 50 to 14. That is in a reverse order from the teams that didn't participate in the playoffs. And then after that, you just get all the other teams that are there in a reverse order as well. So just as an example, right now, the Golden State Warriors, the team that we speak here in the channel, it didn't make to the playoffs. The playing games don't count. So they are actually the last one in the odds because they had the best record among the teams that didn't make to the playoff, together with the Sacramento Kings. And then we come to the ties, and that's the second thing that is important. So recapping, first thing that is important to understand, the selection just gonna be the random shuffle and selecting just works for the first four picks. And then you have 15 to 14 that are reverse order, automatically done. And then you have the ties. That's the second thing. So Sacramento Kings and Golden State Warriors had the same record in the regular season. So how does it work? A few days ago, you had the tiebreaker. So it sounds very simple, but they flip a coin and they decide among those teams which one is gonna have a better odd. Yeah. Nothing fancy, just flipping a coin, and they get all the tie breaks and they decide. And unfortunately for us, the fans of this channel here, we lost that, so we are actually the last one. But before we really explain how the whole shuffling works, why this is important, right? Well, basically because you're defining the order of the draft. So you're basically saying that you're gonna have the chance of drafting a LeBron James and Stephen Curry, or you're gonna be the next one in the line. So that's why it's so important. And why the NBA created that? So why not doing everything in a reverse order? It's just to avoid, so the goal is to avoid teams of tanking, which it's one of the polemics and controversies of this is that you don't actually avoid completely, but I must agree that it helps a little bit, right? So the fact that you have this odds that's not precisely just a reverse order already makes team think that, look, we might have a better chance, and we're gonna understand this, but it's not fully guaranteed that you get that top one pick or second pick, right? So that's why, and that was the goal. And it's funny because sometimes you have a very, like, for example, this year, the Warriors have a very low chance of getting any of the four picks, but it can happen. And it has happened in history. One, to recap, for example, there was, I think one that is highlights very easily, Chicago Bulls, when they draft Derrick Rose, they had just less than 2% chance of drafting him. And they still got that pick and that draft to Derrick Rose that became an MVP and all the story that he has with Chicago as well, right? So you actually have that opportunity. And the Warriors, for example, also have, and other teams as well, to get one of the top 4, even that they were not the worst teams in the regular season among the 14 teams that are participating, right? So that's why it doesn't matter. It really can change the entire future of an organization based on who you're capable of drafting, and also impacts on potential trades because the team keeps waiting where they're going to be. So you have a lot of those trades pre-draft that are already designed based on the position where they are. All of that impacts, and the lottery helps defining those. So let's break down. I already mentioned a little bit about the controversy. I don't think that fully, and it's true that the NBA it's making slight change, like the percentage, for example, in a couple of years ago, they are moving on the bottom of the 14 teams, so you have a slightly higher chance, so you don't tank a lot as well. So there's a few issues yet. It's not perfect, but it definitely it's better than just reverse order, right? So let's show some numbers, and then I'll explain how does it work. So here, for example, just for us quickly seeing, and what I want to explain in this screen here, as you see, this is the order, right? So Detroit was the worst team, so they have a very high chance for the first 4 picks. And I know there's more information on the screen. I'm going to go step by step, but just for us to highlight. So you have Detroit as the one with the highest odds because it was the worst team, and then you have a reverse order into the Golden State that was technically, together with Sacramento, the best among the teams not doing the playoffs, right? So one important thing, as I said, remember, just the first 4 are selected. So that means that for the first 4, Detroit, Washington, Charlotte, Portland, they have guarantee they are getting at least the 50th pick. So if they are not select among those 4, they won't go beyond that 50 pick, and that's also to make, like, to balance, right? So that's it's important to understand. So before we go to the numbers, this percentage there, I know they're confusing. So the red ones they mean picks that were trades made in previous years. So they that's why they have different numbers and sometimes higher than others. It's just because they are trades, so they have a more guarantee, a higher percentage of getting that pick. And again, and I told that it gets confusing because the teams, they do a lot of trades pre-draft and post-draft as well, and during the season that involves picks. For example, the Golden State this year, one of the reasons that is a very low odd that we are having at all a first round pick is that we have a trade that was made with Portland that if we don't get the first 4 picks, then our pick on the first round goes to Portland. So we have a very low chance for the first 4. And if doesn't fall in that first 4 picks, we go to Portland. So the odds that the Golden State are not getting a first round pick this year are very high. And that's why this matters a lot. So, okay, so we pass through this. So how does it work, the selection, right? So basically, in the day of tomorrow, 3 p.m., what they're going to do is, like, they have all these balls, looks like ping pong balls. They have numbers, and then all teams they have a bunch of sequence of 4 numbers. So let's say, for example, that the Warriors on the sequence 1, 4, 2, 5, and then the Portland has 1, 4, 2, 6. So they distribute all this sequence, and if you combine these 4 numbers, it's possible to form 1,001 total sequence, and they distribute that among the teams. So I hope you're being able to follow there in the screen. So 1,001, they distribute that among the teams, and that's how some teams they have more, and that's how they have a higher chance, and other teams they have lower. And that's how you calculate. Why 1,001? Honestly, I don't know where that one comes from. That one is basically a new sequence that it's not applied to any team. So it's basically over 1,000. So the way that this percentage works, and I'm gonna get the Golden State here as an example, you basically get 1,000, that is the total, and you multiply by this percentage so you know how many numbers that team has out of the total in that peak. So for example, the Golden State for the first peak, they will have 0.7 times 1,000, so that's 70 sequences. So out of 1,000 total sequence possible for the first round, the Golden State will have 70. And then, so then, for example, the Detroit, they will have, out of 1,000, they have 14% of that. So they have 140, right? So that's, and that just double check my math here if I didn't tell you anything wrong. Yes, so remember that these numbers here, they are percentage. So we're talking about 14% of 1,000, 0.7% of 1,000, and etc. for everyone. And that's how they calculate. So they go to the draft number 1, there's all the sequence there, they get a sequence, and the team that owns that sequence get that pick. And then goes on and on. So that's why, that's how they do the process, and that's why this matters a lot. So when you look, for example, for our team here from the channel, the Golden State, they have just 70 sequences in the first pick, and then 78. It goes increasing, but as does the other teams as well. So they have a very low chance, and you can see here on the very far right side what is the total chance, the total percentage that chance that they have to pick a top 4, which is very low, and that's why this matters the most. I hope this was clear. I hope it gives you a hint and an understanding of how the draft works. Please let in the comments if you have any questions, and have a great day. Good luck for your team on the draft lottery. Bye.